there's power in taking a photograph. There's power in being an artist.
It's the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Yannicone, and I have with me my lovely wife, Stacy.
Hello, hello.
And
Ryan,
our friend Ryan. I connected with Ryan, as I usually do, on Instagram, and really interesting dude. He's got a lot of photography, mostly, I guess, Saguaros. Really common trend in your photography that I've seen.
Yeah.
So, must be something appealing with saguaros and cacti. So, I figured,
have a type.
Yeah, he's got his thing. I know he shoots a couple different formats, and I was like, you know what? Let's find out about what this deal is with the Southwest cacti theme.
We'll get to know Ryan behind it, because you don't have a lot of online presence. We were looking. You don't have much.
Not much.
Yeah.
Just my handful of followers on Instagram, and that's about it.
It makes it a mystery for us, which is great.
Yeah.
And we were speaking
a lot of mystique.
We're saying your Instagram handle, and then I guess you can say I might say it wrong. Celestron _Swanson,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
What's the deal with that?
What's the deal with that?
I'm always
Well,
I gotta
Wasn't there a show like that? What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
what's the deal? Seinfeld kind of did that a lot.
I'm like, I gotta message this guy, and I was like, what's his handle? I was like, oh yeah, Celestron Swanson. What?
Like a Swanson dinner? Is that really?
No. So there is sort of a story. It's a story, I guess. So Celestron is a brand of telescope. So they manufacture telescope. So this will go back to why I even started taking pictures in the first place. And it was basically, it's kind of a weird trajectory I took to get to where I'm at now. And so basically the first thing I wanted to do was astrophotography, because I just sort of discovered it randomly. And
that's a weird thing to randomly discover.
it is really weird,
right?
because it's the hardest form of photography.
Yeah, people are really
it's crazy.
People that are into that are really into that, to a real technical degree as well.
Crazy. So I bought a telescope. It's a Celestron telescope. So I wanted to make a Instagram handle that was it's astrophotography Instagram handle thing.
Yeah.
And so Celestron is obviously the telescope brand, Swanson. So I wanted to make it Celestron Ron Swanson, like in Parks and Rec, like a stupid play on words.
Okay.
So I don't know. So that's the origin of that. So that's just I started doing that, and I realized quickly that I have no idea what I'm doing, because I didn't do any photography before that. This was the first thing I did.
Oh, that's jumping in the deep end.
Yeah, this is the first thing I did. I had no idea about any settings, ISOs, anything like that. So I was like, all right, this is really cool, because I'm into astronomy and all that stuff. So let's just try this. And then I borrowed my friend's it was a Sony A7S, and bought all the parts and adapters and all the knickknacks that you attach the camera to the telescope, and made really crappy photos of deep sky objects. If you scroll back in my Instagram, which don't do that. Don't do that. But if you do, you'll see really. Delete. Yeah, I probably should before this comes out.
Just archive it all.
Yeah. So if you do, you'll see lots of really crappy pictures of the Orion Nebula, which is, that's kind of everyone's first major deep space target when they shoot astrophotography, and the moon and stuff like that. And then I eventually got a little bit better. And then I realized, man, this is just a lot. This just takes I'm in the heart of Phoenix, where light pollution is just crazy.
Yeah, not ideal for anything. We were talking about that with we did a podcast with our friend Dave in the middle of the woods, and it was pretty darn dark.
Yeah.
So we were saying about here, it's it's difficult to do any kind of star stuff here. I mean, you get a little bit of stars, but you're in the deep Yeah, it's just
when
so
you're in
light.
Phoenix, man, it is.
The pollution.
Yeah, it is. It is tricky. You can buy all these crazy expensive filters and cut out the light pollution, and it'll only see a certain wavelengths of light.
Oh, there's filters for
crazy.
pollution? I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's a rabbit hole. It's an expensive rabbit
Expensive.
hole.
I was going to say that sounds like it's probably pricey because they have
Yeah.
trackers and everything, right? So
Did you-
everything moves and
Yeah. Did you use a tracker when you were shooting?
I eventually got the telescope I had, or have still, it's like you can find objects and it will follow it, but
cool.
it's not an equatorial mount. This is getting really technical here, but it's not an equatorial mount, which kind of follows the rotation of the Earth. And you have to align it with the North Star Polaris.
Yeah.
This was just a alt, I forgot how to say it, but Alt-Z mount, which it just kind of follows the object and it kind of stair step it, whatever.
Stair
It
steps?
follows the object
Yeah.
in like a choppy fashion, and you can really only do like maybe 20-30 second long exposures to get the object. And it's not ideal for astrophotography. I eventually got like a star tracker, like a proper equatorial mount,
yeah,
but it's really involved. And I
I
was
can
like,
imagine.
all right.
Were you doing this with film or digital?
Digital.
Okay, I was going to say
Digital.
film is like even
Yeah.
worse.
It's crazy.
I actually connected with someone, I want to say 4 years ago, and they explained to me that they do, I just remembered his name, Dan, and I don't remember his last name, but I know his face. Not that helps right now, but he was shooting astrophotography as well, and he explained to me that there's this process where they bake the film, and I was like, what?
They bake like heating up.
So
bake?
what they use is they use pressure and a gas, and the gas, as well as the pressure and the heat, bake out any of the imperfections that actually occur in the film.
What?
So there's like moisture that's in the film that gets kind of cooked out that actually makes it so the images are clearer. So, sorry, that just popped in my head. So
Nice.
Now, I want to.
I didn't know about that.
That's
Yeah,
that's
there's-
a new one that I've heard of.
I know you mentioned it's definitely a challenging thing, but these photographers who really are shooting film and shooting astrophotography, who aren't really going for the light streaks, that are going for getting a nebulous or some sort of constellation or whatnot that they're trying to capture, have to use this film that's able to be essentially, it's more sensitized. But
It's
otherwise,
just-
you get too much noise interference from the way the silvers react with that sort of thing.
So it's a specific film. It's not even a standard, like they're going to one type of film to do that as well.
It would be basically you would use certain films that are going to work and perform better, but that's about all I know on it.
That's all we know. But that's a lot of questions. I'm gonna have to dig
Yeah.
into that and read into that. I mean, I've heard like the little bits that I've heard about astrophotography. I've been like, oh God, that's involved.
It's really involved.
That's a lot. And anytime I've ever tried to take any kind of like photo, it's always just not great.
Yeah,
It involves a lot of darkness and money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in Phoenix. There's not a lot of darkness here. And the money thing, it's like, I don't know how much I want to invest in that. I mean, there's only so many creative compositions you can do of deep space objects.
True.
So I'm like, okay, I don't know. So
Yeah.
then I kind of, slowed down on that. I eventually got some pretty okay photos of deep space stuff, like Orion. I have a pretty decent photo of Orion, and then a pretty decent photo of the Antares region of the sky. It's like really colorful and pretty. It's awesome. And I'm like, all right, I think I'm good on that. So then it just kind of eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to give my friend his camera back and buy my own. It was a Nikon D5300 digital camera still.
Nice.
Started taking landscapes and then just became obsessed with the desert. I mean, it's where I live. It's my home. It's what I love. And then, now I'm shooting on 4x5 and
Shooting saguaros and
shooting saguaros for days.
so are you native to Arizona?
Yep. Born
Oh,
and
snap.
raised here. Yeah.
High five, man.
Boom,
Same here.
boom.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not many of you. Every time we always ask everybody, like anytime you meet somebody in Phoenix, especially, it seems like, where are you from? And like, because most people aren't from here. So that's like a common question around
Yeah.
here is like, because a lot of people just aren't.
What part of town did you grow up?
Pretty much Glendale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
grew up
Central
around there.
Phoenix, so
Yeah.
I went to Arcadia and
Oh, right on.
Squaw Peak Middle School, which doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was supposed to go to Camelback, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, AZ, man,
Locals.
Easy for life.
yeah, it's
Born, probably die here.
the desert is something that's interesting. I don't know. Growing up here, it just kind of was like I learned about the desert and was like, well, it's trying to kill me. I'm just gonna stay inside. Like everything about it, just like, you know, don't go outside. And my parents
Yeah,
were
so harsh.
we'd go up to like Flagstaff and stuff, but never really ventured out into like the desert. And it probably wasn't until I want to say the past like 10 years that I started to have a little bit more appreciation for the desert. But still, it still wants to kill you. So
Yeah, it does. Everything's spiky and pointy and venomous and
yep.
creepy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it all, except for the venomous.
Yeah.
Except for Venice,
I can
we can
live
do without that one.
Yeah.
So do you ever go camping?
Yeah, I do a lot of when it's nicer out. Obviously, not right now. I do like little truck camping. You know, just weekend escapades down.
Nice.
I go to the same places a lot. I go to it's called Sonoran Desert National Monument.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's kind of my spot I've been going to the past couple of years. Just kind of sleeping in the back of the 4Runner
Yep.
and just walking around, taking photos of saguaros and whatever else I might find out there.
Whatever is interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have a lot of Saguaro photos.
I know.
That makes sense though. That park is just jammed packed.
It's jam-packed.
It's so
Yeah,
many.
it's a
like
huge area.
A forest, literally, of them.
yeah, it's a huge area, and I have yet to explore even maybe a quarter of it.
Oh yeah.
But I love it.
There's a lot of desert in Arizona.
I heard.
There is
you
a
know,
lot of desert in Arizona. Yeah, I had an ex, and his mom actually lives kind of within the park, which was kind of amazing. She had the
Yeah.
best view. It was like she had a house that I don't think she sold that house, but it was almost like if you imagine the park as a pie and someone took a very thin slice out of the pie, you can go in and there's people that live within that slice. So
Oh, yeah?
people are actually in and surrounded. And she had this like, living room with a door. You could just see the whole park, just like this panoramic view of the park. It was the
that's
most
awesome.
amazing view, but she used to have like
Oh wow.
the weirdest animals coming like all the time to her door, and she had a hell of a view out there. Like her sky and her view was just like you go to her living room. What is this?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Like and I always went whenever I went. I just went and saw it from her like living room. I was like, well, this is nice.
I can get used to this.
I was like, okay, it's
Yeah.
like nice, and I'm on a nice chair. It's climate controlled. I have food here.
yeah. Definitely need the climate control.
Yeah, it can get a little spicy. Although Tucson's
rough.
not too bad. It's
Yeah.
a little better than here. Not by
Yeah.
a lot, but
Yeah. I took a backpacking trip once out into the middle of nowhere by myself. And, well, it wasn't middle of nowhere, but it was out in the superstitions. And I'm like, yeah, I'll rough it. It's fine. And almost stepped on a rattlesnake.
Oh,
so
man.
that was scary. And continued on. Luckily, I saw it and it didn't freak out. And I didn't freak out too much. But and then went and camped. But it's something magical about being out in the wilderness. That's like, I don't know, it's something different. I've been up to Flagstaff where there's trees,
Yeah.
and there's some people who prefer that over, being out in the desert. But I don't know, something cool about that. And then I had a skunk that harassed me. So I was like, I'm just trying
I'll
to
do
sleep,
that.
bro. I've got a headache from like hiking all day. Like, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Like, but I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. Feed me or I'll fart on you.
Yeah. give me treats. I'm like, please don't fart. But
I was like
yeah.
weirdly surprised when I moved here, and I've been here now, going on 7 years, I guess, that there were skunks. Like I
Yep.
was like, oh, that's a thing. And then when I first got here, I wasn't aware. I knew coyotes existed, obviously, mostly from the cartoons, I think, but the Wile E. Coyote. And I was like, first time I saw them in real life, I was like, oh, that dog looks terrible. I was like, I thought it was just
Looks
like these really sad dogs. And I was like, oh, that's not a dog. Like, yeah, it's kind of
Wild
interesting.
animals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and the javelina, I'd never seen a javelina in person, and that's like a real
Yeah.
trip to see a javelina when you've never seen one. You're like, wait, is that a pig? Like, wait, what
Yeah.
are you? Yeah, Arizona has just like almost alien like environment with both
Yeah.
the animals and the environment that it's in. And it can look very foreign, and sometimes you take that for granted a little bit because you think, I know locally a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to necessarily take pictures of the desert, but then you got to think, this is like a very small part of the world that has this view. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the rest of the country is not this.
you don't see saguaros in other states.
You see them in a very
Yeah.
small amount of. I mean, you start not seeing saguaros like only like an hour north of Phoenix. They're gone.
they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think about people. Like, there's people in this country. Most people in the country have probably never seen a saguaro in person.
Yeah.
That's amazing
And
to
it's just
think
like,
about. I see
and
them all
we're
the
just
time.
seeing them in people's front yards everywhere. Just like, we don't even really think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You have a lot of photos of them. You must have a
Yeah.
special love for the saguaro.
Can you tell them apart?
Um,
Like, there's just one
that
saguaro.
one's
No.
Bill.
Yeah.
Name
Do you
them.
name it?
No, there's a few that I revisit like frequently. There's like, I go to the white tanks a lot, and there's like
Nice.
one scene I go to a lot, and I'm like, I'm gonna get the scene the best it can, like the best it can be. And then like in the Sonoran Desert National Monument, there's a kind of a group of saguaros that I'm planning on making a huge panoramic print of.
Yes.
I have 3 photos of it, and I'm like, I bet I could get a better one now. I bet I can get a better one.
Keep shooting till it's perfect.
I know, I got to keep shooting till it's perfect. It's mostly a morning shot, so I have to wake up and I have to like drag my ass out of my Forerunner,
Yeah.
lug my 4x5 stuff out there. I mean, it's only like I don't know, maybe like a 10-minute walk from where I kind of camp.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm gonna get the best version of this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
spend a ton of money making a huge print. It's
Yes.
gonna go behind the couch. That's where
yes.
it's gonna go.
I took this picture.
I did it.
Yes.
Have you noticed anything with the heat? I don't know. I mean, the heat just happened here for Phoenix, and obviously people are talking about like a lot of the saguaros are now going down. They can't even take it because they can't do, the stuff they do at night to stay alive because it's not getting underneath the temperature they need. I know that sort of happened. Was it 2000? Or not 2000, but 2020. That year was really, really hot, and
That
a
was
lot of them had
rough.
died. Yeah. Have you noticed that just because you go out and see them a lot? Have you seen a change in the landscape itself because of that?
Especially this year. Like this year's even kind of ending up being worse than 2020.
Yeah.
Like we have, like my front yard is like full of drought resistant, quote unquote drought resistant plants and bushes and cactuses and stuff. And I'm like, man, they're not looking so great. This is more than a drought. This is extreme. Nothing can survive this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
yet
just,
there's millions of us. Is there millions of
and
us?
here
How
we
many?
are. We're inside. We're
Population.
in the air conditioning, where we should be.
Yeah.
It's a rough summer for sure.
Yeah.
And, wildfires are usually pretty bad around this time. Actually, I feel like this year isn't as bad as previous years.
Yeah, I've been waiting patiently, like not patiently, like I'm waiting for it, but like to hear about a wildfire and like you really, there
There's
hasn't
that one by
been too
Fountain
much.
Hills,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one that got
that big
Like,
one.
that
near
was a
Tru-
huge. I mean,
up above Troon. There was
I was
something
tracking
Yeah.
that one, and I think that one was like the second biggest to like some million acres, back in like I want to say like the early like late 2000s.
Yeah, I'm
It was like almost 500,000 acres or something like that of just insane, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. So like,
it's just hard.
and
It's rough.
I don't know that any of those saguaros are gonna come back. I think there's a good portion that are just gone for like.
They look rough. Well, we drove up there not that long ago. We drove up through, and it was just like swaths of just black.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. It's like how much of the state can, I mean, geez.
Yeah.
It's like you start
Yeah.
running out of like all this beautiful, beautiful area. Just start, the fires go around. It's such a shame. I'm wondering what the future holds for Arizona. I mean, climate change is
I hope
hitting
this-
places like this, like especially hard because we're already on that edge.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
think someone said recently, like the humans can't live past like what is 135 or something degrees. I'm like,
But
we're inching in there. Like we're not too
creeping
We're
up
really
there.
creeping in. Like we're up there. It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's like when we're pushing. I think the other day was like what in 118 or something like that.
Yep. I was outside on a roof.
Were you really?
Yeah.
sounds like a swell place to be.
That's my favorite.
Is that a day
I love
job
it.
or you were just on a roof fixing a roof?
As a day, I'm an electrician by trade.
Oh no!
So
So you're like roasting all the time.
I'm outside a lot, and
Oh, that's like I always say the people that are doing roofing and
yeah,
plumbing
roofers
and-
especially.
We had roofers on the roof this morning.
This morning,
Oh,
there was
man.
roofers up there. They were there pretty early, and they were
Yeah, you
done.
gotta
They were
do
done
it
pretty
early.
fast. Like, I think they were doing some patching up there. But, whew, that's a job.
rough.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, my photography is pretty slow around this time. I don't really go out too much.
Yes.
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
I'm like,
doing outdoor stuff.
So
yeah.
maybe I'll try to do some night stuff, like that last Saguaro moon one I did at night.
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe if I do this, I can keep the juice going. You know,
Yeah.
like keep the gears moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I think a lot of us
It's rough.
feel
It's even hot
caged.
at night.
Yeah, it's not even cooling down at night. You go out and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, this is a lovely 105.
Yeah, I don't think I've
too
shot
bad.
a photo since at least a couple months ago.
Yeah,
It's been, like since our
been a
trip to New
while.
York. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to New York.
Yeah.
and that was April.
It's been 2 months since I've taken a photo.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't blame you, man.
It's too hot.
There'll be
It's
some
hot out
stuff.
there.
The Beers and Cameras people, they're getting together this weekend on Sunday. If anyone's never looked them up, Beers and Cameras has chapters all across the country, but Phoenix has a
sweet.
chapter, and they went a little quiet for the pandemic, which made sense.
Yeah.
But they're coming back, so the next one's on this Friday that they're having it.
Really? I like beers and I like
And
cameras.
the cameras you have to look up.
Yeah.
I forget where it's like at 7, but they're having it indoors, so it's not outside. Usually,
with
a lot of the events are like places with patios and outdoor. I've never been to this location. I can't remember the name of it, but it's at Roosevelt and Central. It'll be over by the time this podcast comes out.
Yep.
But still look them up, because if you're interested in photography and you're in the Phoenix area, it's a good group to come together with, because it's people from across all kinds of disciplines of photography. It's people that make a living with it, and it's people that are just hobbyists, and it's people that are doing film and digital, and there's even some like videographers, and then there's some people that I'm not even sure they take photos. They just like the beer more, maybe. But that's a really good group to kind of join up with. But
Yeah.
we'll probably take some photos with that, just of the group, which is nice. And I think
Interesting.
the building that I don't remember the name, it's like a terrarium, not terrarium, but they have a lot of glass and stuff. It's like
It's got an atrium in it.
An atrium, thank you.
Nice.
Like a rooftop atrium. So there's going to be a lot of light. So even those of us that are shooting film and a little lower ISOs will actually be able to take
Yeah,
some
we'll fit in fine.
photos.
Yeah.
Right on.
So, yeah, because usually on those, like it's at night, so it's a little difficult for the rest of us. But I think it'll be early enough there where we can actually take some photos.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right on. That sounds cool.
summer is this weird thing, and I think it's the opposite for people that live, East Coast and things, where they're going
Anywhere
through.
else.
Yeah.
And they have the opposite, where the winter time is the time that you don't necessarily want to go out. But
Yeah.
that being said, it's. I don't know. I feel like it's less brutal to go out in the cold than it is in the heat.
No, man. It's
I can bundle up. I can't like get any more less clothed.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
stay inside. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
This is our time for seasonal depression.
Yeah.
Like
It
Yeah,
is.
this
true.
is our seasonal
Yes,
depression.
that's very true. And then we always say, like, we don't get a chance because we're always so busy, like running the lab and then, doing the things that we do in our day jobs and everything. But this is a good time for people that shoot film to print. So it's like shoot all through the
Yes.
good weather and then
Yeah.
worry about your like scanning and your printing and do all of that now. So you're
Yeah,
doing kind of your
exactly.
administrative type stuff.
That's what I've been kind of
This
doing.
time of
Just
year.
getting stuff ready to print.
Organize, get your ducks in a row,
Yeah.
like get ready for it. But I think people are just itching at this point to get out. You get a
Yeah.
couple months into this and it's like,
Like, all right, I'm over it.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Speaking of developing, I understand you develop your stuff, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yep, pretty new at it, but I've been developing black and white, C41, E6, all of it. Just
Oh, nice.
in my bathroom, in the
Yep.
guest bathroom, just making a mess in there.
I mean,
taking
yeah.
up all the space and
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you start shooting film? When was the turnover from the digital into film? And why did you decide to go to film?
I think it was around was it 2019? there's one guy who's responsible for me starting to shoot film, and it's a weird name, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but I found him on Instagram, and I think he's based out of like Scotland or something. He shoots a lot of Scotland, and I was looking, I was like, it just came on my feed, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is incredible. Like, it just looked so just realistic. Just, you know, everything you see on Instagram and all that stuff is all crazy processed, and just, it didn't really, like, some of the landscapes just look cartoony to me, you know. I'm like, all right, this is, and even I was starting to do that. Don't scroll through my Instagram. Don't go back. But even I was like, yeah, I'll just kind of figure out how they do it and do that. But then I saw this dude's photos, and I was like, this is incredible. This is just hyper realistic, super sharp, just gorgeous colors. Everything is just perfect. I'm like, oh, this is film. Okay. Think I want to do that. So then I kind of went down that rabbit hole, just kind of watched a ton of, you know, YouTube videos, and just like found people I like on there. And I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to do this. And then I'm going down the eBay rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh man, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to figure out.
Where do I even start?
Where do I even start? So I ended up getting a Mamiya C330, and I was like, all right, dude, this is it. This is awesome. And then I think the first trip me and my girlfriend took, we went up through Monument Valley. We did like a big road trip, Monument Valley, and we went to like Shiprock, New Mexico, that big, cool volcanic structure. And where else did we go? We went on a handful of trips. Oh, I think Bisty Badlands. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's in New Mexico.
I haven't been there.
Crazy landscape. It's alien. It's literally like it's nowhere like it on the planet. So then I'm like, all right, we're doing it. We're going. I'm buying all this Ektar 100. just going for it. And then I just fell in love with it ever since. Just, that's been my ride or die.
Yeah. I
still do shoot digital. Like, it's a good tool to have.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm not sure about metering, I'm like, all right, it's this. Let's cheat a little bit. You know, if it's like
it's helpful.
A weird contrasty scene or something. But I mean, I just like the process. I like it. I feel like it's a more satisfying experience. Like you're like crafting an image instead of like just kind of.
Yeah, you're not sitting behind a computer screen trying to manipulate something and then getting frustrated with it. Instead, you're doing it by hand and then getting frustrated with it.
Yeah, then you're sitting
longer.
You're sitting behind a computer, cleaning all the dust off.
Yeah.
Like, which is, man, I feel like I spend more time on the computer now than I did when I shot digital. But because I'm just such a freak, I'm like, I don't want any dust. Yeah, no dust.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's just fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun to just see what everyone else is doing. Like all these, like, I feel like every week there's like a new camera I haven't heard of. I'm like, what is that? Like, I shouldn't
so many of them.
Want that, but I do.
It's just like, it's a never ending like rabbit hole of different types of cameras that you can discover and play with, and they do different things and they have different purposes. And
there's so many of them out there. Like every time I see a new one, I'm like, ooh, what are you? But then I'm like, I am not into gear, like really at all. But at the same time, I'm still collecting cameras as I go. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have something that looks like that. And I still pick one up. And almost always I pick one up and it's just broke or a mess. And like so few of the cameras I have actually work.
Like a display piece. Like, that'll be a nice display.
Yep. Yes. Sticking this on the shelf. That's where it's going to stay.
Yeah. A lot of my cameras have a copious amount of tape on them.
Oh yeah. I know that.
Like there's a lot of tape. I'm like keeping those gaffer tape people in business, I think, with my cameras.
Like, just take it in. No, I'm just going to tape it. It's fine.
Well, most of the time it's not even worth like fixing them. That's the difficult part about a lot of film cameras. They aren't making them anymore. So, and the longer we get detached from the time that they're originally made, the less parts you're finding for these things and the less people that know how to work on them, you know. Yeah. And then some of them even just taking them in to get them CLA'd, and, you know, that's becoming more difficult, and depending on the kind of camera that you have. So that's kind of the difficult part, I think, with film photography. And I think I suspect that's why I still keep up with even my broken ones. I'm like, I can make this work.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's almost hard to find perfect shape, no issue digital, film cameras that are out there at this point.
It's rough. And if you do, there's a price tag.
There's a price tag, yeah. That
Hefty
seems to
price.
be evening out a little bit. It's like I kind of follow that and you watch it and it goes up and then it goes down a little and then it goes up again and it goes down. And it's like it's hard to kind of follow the
trend of what camera's doing what.
Yeah. And I think it's just what people think the market will bear and what people will pay. And I suppose it goes through periods of. It's interesting with film and cameras because like people can do like a video or be like a celebrity or something, gets caught with one. Like doesn't like Zendaya and like she shoots I think on film, and I think she had a camera that people saw or something, and then all of a sudden everyone wanted that camera. And there was some guy, another guy, like a singer or something.
Selena Gomez, I think, had one.
Was that Selena?
They're gonna break out a Holga, and those are gonna be like $300.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't take a whole lot for like a camera to like become expensive when it shouldn't necessarily be. So it's kind of interesting to see like the hype of film cameras and how it kind of. I feel like you just don't have that with digital. Like digital, you do have that, but I don't see people like running on it like that. Like
digital is like the newest best thing. Like that's what you need. Nobody cares about like old digital cameras. Like nobody cares. But those cameras are perfectly fine. They're perfectly good. I did get a new camera semi recently, like a mirrorless camera, but like that was really just for weight, because I always kind of, if I go somewhere pretty remote and I have one backpack, I kind of like to have options like my 4x5 and a digital. So mirrorless is obviously lighter weight and stuff, but I had like a crappy Nikon. And it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly good. Like nobody cares about like megapixels or whatever. Like if you're presenting it to somebody, nobody's going to look at it and be like, oh man, that looks like a crop sensor camera. That.
That's kind of fun with the film. I mean, film can be captured on anything and still look great. It can still look great. You don't have to have like expensive features, in a camera. You can get like a very basic, brownie camera with no settings and still get amazing image that still looks really, really good, despite it being literally a box with a hole in it.
It's just a box, a lightproof box.
It's more so how you use it and knowing how to get the most out of that.
Understanding your tool, understanding the film, understanding how to shoot. Like that stuff comes into play much more.
I shot back in, this was a while back. Back in like 2014, 2015, I think it was. I put out there that I wanted to take pictures. I think I put it like a Craigslist ad that I want to take photos. And I was like, that's a weird place to put it. But
it is weird. You're just like,
I was like aspiring photographer looking to take portraits for free or something like that. And
did you get some bites?
I got selected to participate in a fashion show.
From the Craigslist ad, just saying, I want to shoot photos for free.
I was like, and somebody, Andrea, reached out to me, and her husband were coordinating this project, and it was a fashion show for John Ablaza, so person I never heard of, and they're I forget which country they're from, but they were doing all these clothes, and there was a lot of importance in the clothes that they were making because it was from things that were culturally relevant. And I mean, I'm not a fashion person, so I didn't really pay attention to all those details. And more so I was like, I get to take pictures. This is great. And I actually got to take pictures at the Phoenix Art Museum.
Oh, nice.
Is where they had their show, and did it for free. But long story short, I was all excited and wanted to take pictures with the fancy Nikon D750. At the time it just came out. I was all excited about it. I was like, it captures to 2 cards, and it like, it's like I forget the resolution on it. It was like 20 megapixels or something like that.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
it's, super great. I think it's 24. But all geeking out about this camera because I'm like, it's so much better than my little Nikon D60, which is like, this little baby of a camera that doesn't do much. But I've used that camera for so long that I knew all the settings. I knew all the, how to program it and everything. And I remember telling one of these other guys that I was shooting with, I was like, hey, it would be cool if they let us like, rent one of these cameras and, instead of paying us, maybe they can pay to rent this camera and we'll just get better pictures. And the guy that was also shooting that they had, they didn't hire, but, allowed to come do this project with us, was shooting on a Canon. And he basically made the suggestion that I had. And I kind of put it in his ear because I didn't want to ask these people and say, hey, would you, rent out a camera? Because I'm still, really new to photography as far as like in a social sense. And they agreed to let him rent the camera. And he showed up with it one day. I was like, dude, you shoot Canon. You're going to shoot Nikon? And I was like, have you played on it yet? I was like kind of confused. And he's like, no, I'm used to Canon. But he was kind of like showing off, like rubbing in my face. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll shoot with my camera. And I pushed my camera to the limits and I got photos that I didn't expect I'd get. And there's a huge gap between the camera I was shooting on and the camera that the D750. And, I just remembered I was like kind of blown away. I got really good results. And I was like, I realized afterwards that I am glad I didn't actually make that suggestion because even though I'm used to Nikon, that camera would have been a little bit out of my league because I didn't get a chance to actually like shoot with it for a while and get the understanding of that camera. Mm-hmm. And I remember the day that we were about to shoot, he didn't understand any of the settings because he's used to a Canon. Mm-hmm. And so he was struggling and I could see it in his face that, he's trying to take these pictures and, I remember later having a little beef with him, but I was just like, I don't know, man, you did it to yourself. But I guess it would have been better had I not made that suggestion maybe, but I'm not gonna, I don't know.
Yeah. It's true though. Like if your camera and you're like, that's your go-to one, it's so much easier to do the rest of it. I'm like, okay, I don't have to focus on like these pieces of the camera. I can focus on what I'm trying to take a picture of.
Yeah, trying to learn this random camera.
Yeah, it's like, even if you have a quirky camera, the quirks. So it's like, how, okay, I know my camera does this and I know my camera does this. So, you can compensate and the ins and outs of your camera. So it's always nice to have like a camera where you're like, this is my go-to. This is my, my A game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if you ever get into somebody else's car and like use the brakes,
right? Yeah, you have no idea like how to do it. Yeah, I had.
But it's a better car. I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't know how to drive it.
Yeah,
we just had that recently. My I had a meeting at work, and my CEO was telling us a story about he had a rental car, so he travels a lot, and he had a rental car, and he got into it, and it was a Tesla. And he had never been into a Tesla before. And he didn't understand a single thing that was going on in the car. Like, he's like, I didn't know how to turn it on. I didn't know how to turn it off. He's like, I didn't know how to anything. He's like, I didn't understand this car, like even a teeny tiny bit. And he said it was a little panicky, but then he realized, you just got to slow down. But yeah, I was like, I get that
Siri?
way.
Is it like Siri? You have to like Tesla on.
I don't even know, but he was like saying it was like
Tesla
so difficult.
faster.
Tesla drive.
Yeah, he didn't understand the car. And like, I'd be just like that. Every time I get a rental car, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I turn into like the worst driver in the world.
Right.
It's like, I know how to drive and I drive just fine. But as soon as you put me in a car that I've never been in and never driven, I'm going to drive like an idiot because I'm
analogy.
so focused on all the stuff I don't understand about this car. It's the same with a camera. Someone hands me a camera like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, I don't know where anything is. I don't know I wouldn't even be able to figure this out, like to work it.
It's pretty entertaining to watch Stacey mess with the new camera.
I'm so frustrated because I'm like, wait,
what's
where's
this button
that?
do? Oh,
What's
let me
this
show
do? Yeah. And like, especially digital, because digital like goes to everything. Film simplifies things, but like digital, there's like everything can be adjusted in crazy ways. And I'm like, there's just way too many menus. I have a digital camera that I basically abandoned, my Fuji, what is that?
X100T.
My X100T.
Oh yeah.
I just don't use it because I'm like, there's too many options here.
Way too many
options. I'm like, I like to be much more simple, and like, I'm like, okay,
I just want shutter speed and aperture.
that's it. That's all I want. I just
Want to get exposure.
That's all I want. I don't need anything else. I want to take the photo. I don't want to have to be sitting here trying to figure this camera out and all every single 1,000 menus that are in this thing. Yeah, some people really enjoy that, I think, and that's more fun for them. But for me personally, it's the other way around, where I don't want to care about the camera that I'm shooting on.
Yeah.
That is secondary to everything I'm doing as a part of the process.
Yeah, like when I got that, it's a Nikon Z6. I'm like, I just want to make it so all I need to really, it's a semi-professional grade camera, I guess. And there's like a million buttons on it. I'm like, all right, I just want to make it so I can just ignore all these other buttons and just have ISO, aperture, shutter speed, just boom. I don't care about.
Where's the manual button?
Yeah. I don't care about all the other stuff.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Everybody has their thing with their cameras.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Everybody has the thing in photography that they kind of focus on. You know, some people across the board and they're like general with about everything. And then other people are like super into the gear. And then other people are like all about the film stock that they're using. And like, you know, what am I using? What's this? And like some people are more about the subject matter. It's so crazy, like all the different ways that everybody can go.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a gear person or no? You have good gear, so
I get semi excited about gear, but less so now because I pretty much have everything. I mean, I just bought an SX70, which I'm pretty pumped about. But
it's not nice.
nice.
did you get it from Mint?
No, I just got it on eBay.
Nice.
But it's pretty good shape. But you know, I don't obsess over the gear so much. I have the 4x5. I've got a couple medium format cameras. I've got a few 35 millimeter cameras that I never use. And I'm like, I have everything I need, I think. You know, maybe a more lighter weight 4x5. You know,
What's the 4x5 that you
I have
have?
a Crown Graphic.
Okay, yeah, they got some weight.
Nice.
There's some weight,
Nice.
but they're cool and they're easy to use. And like I can keep the lens on it. It folds into a nice little box. Boom.
It's not as cool as the speed graphic. No, I'm just
Not
kidding.
as cool as a speed graphic.
I mean,
There's less speed.
I have a speed graphic and I never use a focal plane shutter. And that's pretty much the only difference that I know of between the speed graphic and the Crown graphic.
I think that's
But-
about it.
Yeah.
right?
But the Crown graphic's great.
It's
I mean,
awesome. I love it.
it's yours is probably more compact. It's probably even better for you to go shoot with.
It's nice. It folds up nice. It fits in my pretty moderate sized backpack. Got a couple extra lenses for it.
What lenses do you shoot with?
Mostly the 150 Fuji, and then I have a 270 Schneider lens.
Okay.
I want another one. I want a really long focal length. Like a
300 or something?
No, like, I mean, I'm talking like 500, maybe 720. There's
You're
like
gonna
that.
have
There's like that Nikon set of lenses that you can get. It's like you can get the front lens is, I think, just one lens, but you can get the back end of it
Yeah.
like as a 360, a 500, and a 720 or something like that. And
Oh, that's insane.
I want that.
You're going to need to bring a wagon with you.
I'm gonna need to bring a freaking wagon because I'm sure it's really weighty, and I'm sure I'll need to get like one of those those lens boards that have the top hat, because the Crown Graphic only extends maybe like 300 millimeters.
Yeah.
So if I want to get 720, I think it is a telephoto, but still it's a lot of bellows draw.
Yeah.
I'll have to get some kind of extended, lens board.
Yeah.
But that's, it's probably down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the desert, you're gonna have to like have a real good. Yeah, the wagon might come into handy.
The wagon will be nice.
Get
That's
all
a
your-
good idea. I didn't
your
think about
gear.
the wagon.
Like, the
It's my
wagon.
gear wagon.
A little go-kart you drive out of the back of your thing that has a little wagon attached to it. And you just drive out. A little four-wheel go-kart.
Easier,
I love
yeah.
it.
Sometimes like you carry one camera, like this is too much. This is too much.
much.
Like when you go on vacation, you go places, you're like, okay, what am I taking here? What am I whittling this down to? And then you end up using one camera out of like the 3 or 4 that you brought.
So at the beginning of the year, me and the girlfriend went to the White Sands, New Mexico. Have you ever been there?
I haven't been there,
Nice.
but I've heard of it.
Been wanting
yes.
to go.
It's
beautiful
awesome.
out there.
I love it. It's just white sand dunes, and it might be boring to a lot of people, but I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So I brought the 4x5. It's 2 lenses. My old digital kit, which oh my god, I don't know why I did that. Like with 3 lenses, the whole thing weighed like almost 40 pounds, and that's not that much. But when you're walking around up and down dunes trying to get away from all the people on the freaking sleds,
Yeah.
it's a bit.
It adds up. Every little pound.
It adds up. So that's
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know why I did that. I had 3 freaking digital lenses for the digital kit. And I'm like, why did I do this?
I
This
did
is
a
stupid.
backpacking trip through Oak Creek Canyon once, and I had a tripod
Nice.
and my 4x5 that was on a rail. And
Nice.
The
I just
perfect
remember.
hiking camera.
Oh yeah, it was just insane. But I just remember it being like super, super weighty. No, I actually had the speed graphic. I think I had the speed graphic.
Not much better.
But a little bit more compact, but still heavy. And I
Yeah.
just remember struggling with it. But yeah, the weight adds up really quick.
does.
Doesn't seem like much, but definitely does.
Yeah. Then you got water and stuff and snacks. You're like, all right, what am I need to pare down a little bit.
Yeah. I actually found out that you can shoot like macro with your 4x5. And
Yeah.
I'm like fiddling with my camera, and then one day it just clicked with me in the lab. I'm playing with it, and I realized that the infinity stops that are on a 4x5 camera. So when you go to adjust your focus, there's these little things that block. So it kind of keeps you in the standard area that you're normally going to shoot in. Well, you can click these little guys back and actually extend out your bellows even further. And then I realized, oh my God, I can actually do some like macro shots. And I started comparing like what the actual size would be on the film compared to what the subject was.
Yeah.
And I was focusing on a 35 millimeter cartridge. And I swear it was like almost 2 times the size on the 4x5 film.
You
It was
can
like,
get real good reproduction ratio. Like,
oh, insane.
so
Yeah.
if you scroll back a little bit
Yeah.
on my
Don't go too far.
Instagram,
Don't go that far.
Go too
You-
far.
yeah, don't go too far. I shot a few cactus skeletons. That's kind of a thing I want
Yeah.
to work on more, like a little project.
There's
I wanna
more of
work
them
on.
now too with the heat.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead
More to
boys
pick
out
from.
there. But yeah, you just find a nice cool section of dead saguaro, and freaking extend that bells way out there, and you can get really, really close to it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, I've
So it's-
got a portrait of a flower that I've got somewhere, but I didn't extend it out, and I didn't realize I can go further. I could
Yeah.
have zoomed in like right in to the flower, but it filled up most of the frame, so the composition was good. But yeah, it's awesome to being able to go that much further.
Yeah.
But yeah, so saguaros you shoot.
Yep.
Dead saguaros.
Living and dead. Dead ones you can shoot any time of day, and then, it doesn't, it's not really light dependent. You can just kind of get in there and shoot it. And
Yeah,
I need to branch out, I'm realizing.
yeah.
What do you think you
But
wanted to, like? So it sounds like landscape is kind of like your jam. Have you
Yeah.
ever done any kind of street or anything like that, or that's not your jam at all?
A little bit, like maybe if we go to like Jerome or something, and I'll take the 35 millimeter out and just shoot little cool scenes or whatever, but mostly landscape. It doesn't move, and I don't have to be in anyone's way, and no one's in my way, and I don't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah, you don't have to ask the cactus.
Stay
like,
still.
Can I take your picture?
Can I take your picture? Is that okay? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the street photography is not for the
The introverted.
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, you have to be like very aware of your surroundings and very aware of who you're shooting, and then taking the bold step of asking sometimes, and then at the same
Yeah.
time, like if you want to ask, you have to like be okay with people like then turning into like the pose.
Yeah.
like no, just do exactly what you
Yeah.
were doing before. I just want to take a picture of what you were doing. Don't even look at me.
Yeah. God forbid they ask like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Cause you look cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll leave you alone now.
Yeah.
It leads to a lot of questions. And a lot of time when you have, cameras like the 4x5 or things like
Yeah.
that, and you go out on the street or people see you with that, you get questions and people
Yeah.
want to
People want to
up
be like,
to
hey,
you.
yeah, that's cool. Take my picture. Or something.
Yes, then you end up in it.
No, I want to take a picture of this building, but
Like,
yeah.
can you
Yeah,
out of the way,
you end up
please?
in the weirdest conversations when you have film cameras. I've
Yeah.
had some very weird interactions. People asking like, "Does that take old-fashioned photos?" And I'm like,
Yeah, old fashioned.
like, how do you answer that? I'm always like, I never have a good answer for that one because that's a weird one that always comes up. Like people actually say that often.
Yeah.
Like, what is the answer to that question?
I pass people like on a hike and they ask, "Did you get any good shots?" I'm like,
No, this is
No.
garbage.
this is actually my canteen. It just looks like a camera.
I know. Oh, does that still work? Can you still get film? No, I'm shooting just
Yeah, where do you
air.
get film?
Yeah.
Like
They still make
anywhere.
film?
Amazon, you can get anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's people that are fascinated, but they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So they don't know what to ask you, but they want to like engage about it.
Yeah.
So you get these really just off questions, but at the same time, they're like such absurd questions where you're like, I don't know how to answer you. I'm like, sure, yeah, they look old fashioned. What does that mean? I don't know.
So you shoot 4x5
Mostly,
and
yeah.
35 millimeter, and you shoot medium format.
Yeah.
Is there
it
any
all.
format that you haven't tried that you
8 by
want?
10.
Do you want to get
Tempted
an
to
8 by
start doing 8 by 10 slide.
would be cool.
Get deep in it.
I just need to put my blinders on and not think that 8 by 10 exists because that's an expensive rabbit hole.
Slippery slope right there.
Yeah.
Some people probably listen being like, "No, you can totally get it.
No, just do it.
Trust me, man.
fine.
Just do
It's
black and
cool.
white. Like, all right, fine. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, go on." There is.
You could do black and white and do black and white reversal process, make it a little cheaper, right?
I guess
It'd
so.
still be a black and white like slide, but
Intrepid makes a 8x10 camera.
Don't say that. I know they do.
You could technically take one of those lenses that you have and just move it over. I think you need a minimum of 300 millimeter, or is it a sweet spot?
Yeah, it depends on the
8x10.
image circle, I guess. Maybe the 270 might. I don't know.
Because a 300 on a 8x10 is what, 50 millimeter?
It's like,
Roughly
yeah,
equivalent.
normal, kind of a normal focal length. Yeah.
But I guess the challenge there is like, how do you scan that? How do you print it? Like, I guess you could make a
Scanning's
contact print, but
scanning's a thing.
Film-
Contact. That's good for
film's
contact
expensive.
printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how much is a shot now of
Oh, man. I
like
don't want to know.
it's insane.
like slide 8 by 10 with developing? If you,
Yeah.
I mean, you develop it yourself, but even that
30
is
bucks, 40 maybe.
Yeah. I
That's
think David was saying it's like $25 a shot.
Yeah.
Our
That's
friend
a
David
lot.
is shooting 8x10,
Yeah.
which we mentioned yet again in another podcast.
I know, David. We
better be
we
a-
keep on bringing it up because we're like, man.
Brought to you by David.
Brought to you by David.
Well, you know what it is like there's so few people that I've seen that are doing that because of both the expense and like, you know, the time, and that's a lot. That's a lot. And I think that's probably
Yeah.
why David does it. I'm assuming I'm making an assumption for you there, David,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
you know, it's part of the, you know,
Part of the
accomplishment of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It probably feels amazing when you get the scans back or whatever.
Yeah.
If you develop yourself,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, yes.
Because film looks good when it's larger, and that's very evident as soon as you
it's
go
beautiful.
from like, you know, you look at a half frame, you're like, oh, okay. And then you look at 35, oh, better. And you go to that medium and you're like, ooh. And then 4x5, you're like, oh, hot damn. Like
Hot
it
damn.
it really does. It just gets better and better. So I can see
Yeah.
the allure because 8x10's it's huge.
That's huge with the Y.
Yes, it really is.
I mean, a 4x5 slide is just gorgeous on
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
light
yeah.
pad. Like, oh man,
Yeah. I've
it's
seen
addictive.
Seen the color. You don't
Yeah.
have to do any scanning. It's just like, boom,
Yeah.
it's developed. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever tried reversal black and white processing?
No, reversal black and white processing.
So you can do, so like Stacey had mentioned, there's a process for black and white development. So there's a company called Scala that used to manufacture film, or maybe that was the brand of film or the model of film. But Scala was a film that was available, and you would reversal process it. So black and white, like tons and tons of grain. So a lot of high quality image is what you would get out of it. But you would develop it, and you needed a lot of silver in the film because you were bleaching out a lot of the silver. But essentially, instead of getting a negative, you get a slide, a black and white slide.
That's awesome.
And my friend Danny, who I originally started the podcast with, he had some, and he was showing me one day, and he's like, yeah, this is black and white slide. I was like, what? And I was just blown away. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, this is like just crazy. We just saw Oppenheimer on 70 mil today, and there's reversal, transparency, I guess, but reversal black and white. So, movie projection back in the day at 35 was Ektachrome, but they also had black and white as an option, and obviously black and white became less favorable. But anyways, it's definitely worth experimenting with. We've got a kit that we got from Bellini.
Oh, really?
We've just been sitting on it, and we're
we'll
like,
have to connect.
we're like, oh, we gotta
have
whip
to
that stuff
rendezvous
out, because
in the
almost
lab.
everything that I do so little color. I don't know why I don't like color, but I think it's because I like to print in the darkroom. I think that's probably why I don't like color. But yeah, to see some reversal of some of the black and white stuff that we've done would be really interesting. And I'm curious what that looks like then, doing some printing stuff, doing some weird negative printing things.
Yeah.
So can you shoot any black and white stock in color?
There's
or
ones
not
that
color,
are
but-
preferred. So you could shoot, in theory, you could shoot any stock and then use the kit and develop it. But there are certain stocks that are going to lend better to getting obviously better results. You need something that's going to have a clear base. So there's certain stocks that will be better for that, rather than having a slight purple cast, or like maybe not a crystal clear base to the film. And then you want something that's got enough silver in it to not get washed out completely. Otherwise your blacks won't be rich enough. Of course, I've never developed it, so I can't speak to that completely. That's my understanding for it. But I think FP4 was one that was recommended. And then ADOX has one that's ADOX. I don't remember the exact film, but that actually gives really good results. And ADOX actually has their own reversal kit as well.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know, worth dabbling in. And I think the dead Saguaros would look pretty cool as a slide.
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Yes, they would.
For sure they would,
I'm going to make a mental note of that.
Absolutely. So, have you done any darkroom printing at all with any of your work?
No,
We
not
gotta
yet.
get them in.
Still kind of a
Gotta get 'em
poser.
in.
Sorry.
No. A lot of people haven't. A lot of people definitely haven't.
But
It's hard to have. It's easy to. We always tell people, it's easy to develop at home. You can have, a small bucket and it has all the stuff that you need to develop, and you're okay. You're good to go. Darkroom's a little different. Darkroom,
seems like you need more space.
Yeah.
you need
a little bit.
you need to have obviously a darkroom.
Yeah.
And the right red light, and you have to have your enlarger. Granted, there's some small enlargers, but you still have trays, and there's ways to kind of get around the space constraints, but it's still taking up space in your space.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. So a lot of people have not done that, for sure, by no fault of their own. But I'm always telling people, if you haven't and you're looking for something to like kind of take it to that next level, it's really interesting to see film, in the way that it's supposed to be printed. It's black and white, it's supposed to be printed, and to see it compared to what your scans look like, it's like, oh, this is different. This looks completely different. So yeah, whenever, we always sing the praises of printing. That's our big thing with the lab, just because like we get it because we see it because we have a lab, obviously. So we're able to see it, and we understand it's like so hard for people. But I always say, if you can get yourself into a lab, even one time, just to see it, just to do it, like to see like the process, would be like, you see your photography in a completely different way.
I think I know someone.
Yeah.
You know some people. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a
anyone,
lab.
anyone in Phoenix, you feel free to do that. If it's like, you don't have to do it all the time, if just something, but it's just nice to see it in the way that that's the end result that it's supposed to be at. Color printing, on the other hand, a little different. I don't really recommend that necessarily as much.
Color's like, it's like climbing Everest, I guess. It's
Yeah.
like more of an
I
accomplishment
did it.
Yeah.
rather
Did
than
it.
something you're going to do, every other weekend.
It's definitely another rabbit hole. But I've been
Yeah.
thinking about it because I've been thinking about like, when you scan color negative film, you manipulate it to get the colors right and everything. And I don't know, I feel like if I been thinking about this a little bit, if I make a color print
Yep.
and scan the print, then it's like more, I feel like it's more organic, and I don't know. It's probably like a weird thing to think about, but
No. There's actually, there's a lot of people who will do that. It's not uncommon to go that route to get an image, because it's hard to get your color. I mean, it's going to be challenging either way, but
Yeah.
once you scan it into the computer, I feel like the color balance is going to be hard to get it to be true.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge to get it right in the lab. You're dealing with, balancing the hues, and, as your print becomes more dense, it starts to shift more red. And then as you make it less dense and, basically underexpose it, it shifts more blue. So you have to compensate with your printing in order to balance all that.
Yeah.
But once you get that dialed in, for the most part, the prints just look and feel different than what you would get from a scan printed on a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that has to deal with experience and, being able to execute and get that particular feel in the film and know those results. But I don't know. Printing color is just, it's one of those things that, like, when I first got the color print to come out, I was like, wow, this is dark, but I see color here.
Yeah.
And it's so gratifying to see that.
I feel like, if I know me, and I do a little bit, I feel like that might be around the bend a little bit.
Yeah.
Like down the road a little, because like, I just want that like pure analog.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though. Like, you're going to print analog, scan it, make it, digitize it, and then print it again larger.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like going back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're kind of getting more of the true essence of the film when you're printing in the dark room.
Yeah.
And you can scan it. You don't really have to touch it after you scan it if you're scanning the print.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like there's something more pure there.
There's some people who do reproductions actually follow that process in order to get better results, because the manipulation that comes into play is kind of it kind of bastardizes the image.
Yeah,
You lose
dirty.
detail. Yeah, it isn't right if you just scan it straight in. So getting in analog, it's kind of like analog audio, and hearing that versus I don't know,
Like records opposed to listening to something digitized
Like
music.
MP3.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah, sometimes it's a subtle difference, but at the same time, there's definitely a difference there.
I guess it could
Yeah.
be more like when you mic a amp,
Yeah.
you could technically just hook that amp into your main speakers and blast it out that way. But when you mic the amp, you get something that feels different about it. You're getting the analog signal coming from the speaker vibrating into the microphone that's also vibrating and creating that signal, rather than having a digital signal of your guitar going into the amp. And then, so I could see how that could be more, I don't know, more emotional. More,
I feel
more
like
something.
we're more a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Film's weird because it's like a lot of people get into it because it is analog and because it is hands-on and it has more of a, not craft, but it has a little bit of craft to it than digital. And then we're still kind of at the mercy of a lot of digital tools if we want to share it. Like, you know, where it's like you're taking all that work that you did to keep it completely manual, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm still right back to digital again. It feels like a little bit of
Digital, but with extra steps.
It sounds like digital. with
Yeah,
extra
it
steps.
does, right? Like it does. It's like, okay, that's like digital with like a lot of extra steps.
You're making this huge 4x5 negative and you're posting it on Instagram and everyone's going to look at it on a 3-inch screen. Like, all right.
You can post it on
Yeah.
Threads now.
I don't think
Threads
anyone's
isn't-
using Threads anymore.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like
That's the new one.
Zuckerberg's Twitter alternative that
Yeah.
everyone signed up for all at once. But
It's actually his X alternative. You just did.
yeah, that's true. They turned it. It's now X.
Read the
yeah.
news.
That's
Yeah.
right. I know. Yeah, I signed up for it. I'm like, why did I sign up for this? And I haven't logged in since.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I heard like a lot of like the engagement, but there's really nothing new on there. But yeah, I mean, social media is weird. It's like you want to be able to share the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And there's just like, it feels like there's not a lot of outlets, and Instagram is like this weird algorithm. And
Well, now it's all freaking reels and all that stuff.
that's really
videos
popular.
Yeah.
The reels really
Right.
became a thing. And I think that's why a lot of people were maybe trying to start some other stuff. I think some of the stuff stalled and then went away.
Yeah.
I know there was
Well, a lot
one-
of people went to like Vero, which I guess, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's an older platform that kind of got rejuvenated, not rejuvenated, but like
yeah.
people kind of discovered it, like, hey, we're moving on to here. And I did the same thing, and I posted like maybe 3 pictures on it, and I kind of forgot about it.
Same.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. Sharing photography is really strange. 'Cause It's
Yeah.
like the people that are very popular sometimes, or people that aren't even, Dan and I joke about it a little bit. Some of the really popular Instagrammers that are out there are people like that you never actually see their work. You see them loading their camera, and you see them
yeah.
like in a dark room, and you
Yeah,
see them
it's
doing
like
all
a-
these processes, and they're well put together videos, and they're incredibly popular, and they're photographers. But I'm like, I've never seen
is their
their
stuff
actual
good,
work.
or-
Yeah.
Like I've never seen the actual product, like the photo. Like that's the part that I'm like, you're a photographer. That's what the part I want to see.
Well, I've said that I feel it's, you're living vicariously through that person actively doing these things. And so you get to watch them do this because either you're not familiar with it, or you don't have a community where you're at, or there's a ton of different reasons why that sort of content is trending, in my opinion. But it is definitely interesting that you see that is leading more so than somebody who's doing like really putting in their blood, sweat, and tears into getting, the perfect photograph or like documenting something. But the way you present yourselves on social media is a challenge. But
It's weird. We live in a
yeah.
weird world. I mean, look at like there's kids out there that are watching other kids playing with toys online.
Reviewing toys, unboxing toys.
Unboxing and stuff. Like they're
Like,
not playing
oh,
with
this is
toys.
entertainment.
Yeah.
They're watching other kids play with toys, and it's like,
Yeah. Don't
this-
you want to play with toys? Go
Yeah.
play with toys. Put your
Yeah.
phone down.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. Like where internet and like short attention span stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
where
like
it's
the
taken us.
unboxing stuff. It's like you're going to order something, but you want to see somebody else unbox it first.
Yeah,
I wanna
or like
see-
the
I mean, I get it.
ASMR
Before I
stuff.
order it, I'm going to see how
Yeah.
they react to it.
They have the weird one, the one that gets me, and like it pulls me in. Because normally when I see the ones that are just like loading their film and stuff, I'm like, I just flip through. Because most of the time it's like kind of boring. But the ones that do the ASMR mixed into it, so you hear like they make like all the noises of like I'm like, oh damn it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Camera ASMR.
They got me. I think you were a part. You had something with that. Was it NPR?
Oh, I had a ASMR thing, which for the lab, which was fun.
Yeah.
KJZZ came through and did a segment, and they're like, "We're gonna do sounds of the city," and so I had to come up with like sounds in the lab, and I was like,
What part of the
Okay.
city are we talking? There's-
yeah. I was like, you want to do one on the dark room? Okay.
It's hard because it doesn't like, and I was thinking, I'm like, I listened to it and I was like, 'cause it was at first, I'm like, what sounds? Because I'm like, I don't feel like I make that much noise in the dark room.
Well, I'm exaggerating essentially all the sounds in there in order to get it.
You're
but
just like throwing your fixer in like as loud as possible. Glug, 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 glug.
I was like,
agitating.
I can do, yeah. Yeah. Like if you're this noisy in a dark room, there's some issues
You're
there.
gonna have some bad, like,
Yeah, you're
your
gonna have a
negatives
bad
are gonna
time.
look really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a quiet room. It's a dark room.
Yeah. It's true. So yeah, Saguaros.
Saguaros, kind
That's
of
the
my
jam.
jam.
So it's
Nice.
your jam.
I'll branch out. I'll get more creative eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe get into a
you
different
got-
cactus.
you
Maybe
got-
not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but someday.
If you like the Saguaros, you like the Saguaros. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
people have their jams too. Like some people are like cars. That's all you see on their
Yeah.
feed. Like that's the
And
thing that
they
they
take
enjoy.
really good pictures of cars, and that's cool.
My first 4x5 photo was actually of a Saguaro.
Yeah.
I will say that. There was this one Saguaro that was in Superstitions, and I remember there's this giant chunk cut out of the Saguaro, and it was about tripod height for a 4x5, and I just remember being like, wow, this would make a cool shot, and then I underexposed the shit out of it.
man.
It was like, and the angle and everything, it just wasn't quite right. But yeah, I'll commiserate with Saguaros.
Well, speaking of first Saguaro on 4x5, I have something
Yeah.
for you guys.
Oh, snap. Let's see what we got.
The mystery box. He has had a box here, and I was like,
What is
"What's
that box here for?
what's in the box?
What's in the
What's in
box?
the box?"
I'll just sit here and show you, I guess. But it's
Yeah.
yours.
Oh, thank you. Oh, snap.
Hey,
Hey.
here we go.
So this is the first exposure I made on 4x5, and you developed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Hey.
Oh,
It's not a darkroom print. Still, like I said,
That's
poser
totally
still,
fine.
but
it's still film, man.
Still film.
Yeah.
Still film.
We're going to
yeah.
put that up in the lab.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where we
Oh,
put all
that's super
our
awesome.
work. So you'll be up in the lab. You have to come in.
yeah. I'll
That's
have
what we
to go.
tell
I
everybody.
gotta
Come
visit.
if you haven't been to our lab. We're not open like normal retail hours, but if you ever come in for like open hours, or we have an event, or
Yeah.
you sign up for something, or plan with us, just call us and be like, "Hey, can I see the lab?" Like we'll make time, obviously, and have people come in. But we're always telling people like, put your work up. We want to see other people's work. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
everyone's sick of seeing stuff online, you want to see actual
on in.
photographers. We'll have Ryan's print up on the wall, and we'll
It's
be able
of
to point.
a
But like, this is
saguaro.
Ryan Cortez. This is his saguaro, so you can actually see what we're talking
Yeah.
about here.
So the crown graphic belonged to my grandfather.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Left this
Nice.
world in 2018. I didn't even
Awesome.
start shooting film until 2019. Didn't really. I barely started photography like the end of 2017. So I didn't really know he was into photography. And then, he passed, and then I started shooting film. And then my dad was like, "Oh, your grandfather, he has a crown graphic. I'll try to find it." I was like, "You're kidding me."
Wow.
And then, he had a house up in Cortez Junction, and we're kind of going through all the old stuff. My dad moved to South Dakota, but we're going through all the stuff, and he found it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even know what to
man.
say. I was speechless.
That's awesome.
I was like, this is going to be with me forever. I'm not, like,
Yeah.
this is
How
going to
can
be,
how can you get rid
know,
of it?
I
Right.
didn't even know he was into photography. And then,
Yeah.
so
Well, awesome.
special meaning.
Oh, absolutely. That's
Wonderful.
a special meeting for us too. Yeah. I never thought I would be seeing that image again.
There it is.
Or I never saw the image. I saw the negative. But
Yeah.
You saw the negative. Yeah.
Awesome.
You didn't see the actual.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Ryan.
Yeah. No problem.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
my-
saying. Want more work.
It's my ride or die now. 4x5, the crown
That's-
graphic.
That's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
I love my 4x5. I would
Yeah.
say that's probably my favorite camera. Would it be same?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I barely shoot the other format, especially. I mean, if I'm gonna develop,
Yeah.
I use the Stearman press, the SB445. It
Oh, yeah.
develops 4 sheets at a time. So easy to load. But if I'm developing medium format, I use the stupid reels, and
Yeah.
I can't. I just
can't get it.
I get so angry.
You need the easy reel. Do you got the easy reels?
I don't know. I have,
They have-
just the Patterson tank thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're slightly easier if you have a hard time doing the regular reels that come with the Patterson tank. They make this thing called the Easy Reel. I think they're like $20 for each reel, but they have like where you're actually loading in at the beginning. They have a lot more purchase to them. So instead of trying to find those little nubs, it has like a very large piece of plastic there where it's like
Yeah.
maybe like
I'm gonna get one.
almost
I
an
have,
inch like of purchase, so you can really get it on there very easily. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if anyone has trouble,
Freestyle Photo has them. They're
I think I've seen them in
Come in
type of
clutch.
camera as well. I think that's actually where I got mine.
I have to get one because I just get so frustrated. I have like 3 rolls of film that I'm like, I don't even want to freaking. I don't want to deal with it.
I did that when I first started developing film, and I had the regular Patterson ones. I was literally crying real tears, and I was like, I can't get this. It's not going to work. I'm never going to get this. And I was so frustrated. It was
Yeah.
like you're rage quitting it, and like I was just like, no. And I'd have to like walk away and take my hands out of the bag and put them back and be like, I can't do this. And I was reading online. I'm like, oh, this is actually a common problem with a lot of people can't do this. And like certain films like can be much more difficult than others. And then I read about the easy. I like the sound of that.
I like that. Yeah,
Easy.
And like got the easy reel. And I was like,
this.
and then I was having the tears of joy because I was like, oh my God, I can finally do this. It's not me. Okay. It was the reel. I can do it. But now I can go back because, over time you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the easy reel. Check out those if you're having a
100%
lot
will.
of problems with that. Yeah. And then some people are like the metal reels, and I pick up a metal reel. I'm like, that's really manual though. You have to kind of go from the inside out and manually kind of roll it into the reel. The people that love those reels, like they seem to really love them because the Pattersons were somewhat of a recent thing. It was metal all the way up until what, like maybe the
I don't
90s or something.
Patterson's been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
Every
frustrating.
old school first person that we
These
talked
better be
to.
amazing.
Yeah.
Or I'm never doing this again.
Don't want to pull you away from 4x5, but you know,
Yeah.
4x5 is fun.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It's a great format. I think I like
love
that
it.
that almost square format.
Yeah.
But
And I like square too. Some of my 4x5 I cropped to square. Lately, I've been just loving the kind of 2x1 panoramic aspect ratio. I've just been obsessed with that lately. I don't know why.
Yeah. I wish I still had the 617 camera.
Oh,
I'd go out there with you and shoot.
Oh, that'd be
It's a fun
crazy.
camera. That'd probably be great for like panoramics with Saguaros and stuff.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Don't get many shots though.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like I don't need a lot. Like,
Yeah. Do you go through a lot? Do you like really plan out your shots or?
I kind of plan them out, but if I'm going out to the desert, I'm like, all right, let's just see. Let's just kind of see what we find. Like I'll kind of revisit the spots I go to and see if the conditions are good there. But you know, I'm kind of trying to branch out a little bit, like the skeletons I want to do more of, like macro stuff, which is 4x5, but I'll probably not crop it in a panoramic, but and then the light painting stuff, which I'm just recently started to do, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, light painting stuff's
awesome.
really fun.
It's really cool.
Gotta get
I'm
that
into it.
Yeah.
Get that steel wool going. Maybe not in the desert.
Yeah.
You start one of those
Don't be
steel-
don't be the reason why forest fires.
Yeah,
are,
you'll start the fire. Yeah, I had
No,
fires
that
are bad.
no, just a
translates-
flashlight.
those pictures translate really well on film.
They're
I
cool.
Like, yeah,
They're
I went
really
out with a
cool.
group. We had a whole bunch of friends, and we went out like over kind of near the stadium downtown, like underneath the bridge out behind there. You know, didn't want to burn anything up, and under there seemed like the safest place. But we were doing the steel wool long exposures,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I was the only one taking film, and I saw everyone else's photos, and my film photos were like I captured that in a completely different way than
I'm
people were
sure.
doing it on digital.
Yeah.
So the late trail stuff looks kind of amazing
Yeah.
on that. Not a lot of people are doing that. I don't see that too much
I
really.
don't see it that much either. Like that Saguaro moon one.
Yeah. That's a
That-
great shot.
Yeah, it's like kind of a weird experiment I tried and it worked out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's getting hot. I can do it at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
have to
Exactly.
Still get your pictures of your Saguaros.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
the moon and stuff. And
Yeah.
All the nocturnal stuff you can stand.
Yeah, it was all one exposure, wasn't it?
It was
It's all one
two
piece of film.
exposures on one sheet. So
Okay.
I framed up the Saguaro on the 150, you know,
Yeah.
shined a flashlight on it for like
get it all
15
framed.
seconds. And then, you know, that was that exposure. And then the moon was nowhere near it. It was way on the other side.
Oh,
so then
okay.
I kind of made like a mental note where I want the moon to be.
Yeah.
Like right about there. And then I switched lenses. I put the 270 on, pointed at the moon, put the moon where I wanted it, and then just made that exposure.
Oh,
And
wow.
it somehow worked out. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that shot's awesome.
I mean, I did cheat. I used my digital camera to meter
Yeah,
because
That's night though. That's hard
yeah.
to meter that. Like yeah.
I mean, if you're light painting, it's like an amount of time you kind of have to like light paint for several seconds. You
Right.
can't really put your spot meter on it.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to get a guess exposure,
Yeah.
So yeah, and the moon is easy. The moon is like you just underexpose it a little bit. Maybe put it like +1 for
Yeah.
middle gray.
Yeah.
Maybe a little brighter than that. I don't remember what I did, but +1 or 2.
Yeah.
So you're not blowing out the moon. You still get all the cool craters and details and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
I'm gonna do more
awesome.
of that. I think that was really fun. I did like a power line one like a few weekends ago, which was a little stressful because a little bit busier road than I thought.
Yeah.
And I'm like shining a
always
flashlight.
is.
I don't want to shine a flashlight when cars are driving by.
Yeah.
I'm like,
What's
Yeah.
this dude looking at? People are getting out.
like, what are you doing?
What's going on?
Yeah, I think I'll do more of that, like that kind of stuff. Because I really like the kind of high contrast black and white. I recently got like a blue filter.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
kind of the opposite effect I want if I were to do like a power line shot again. I would do maybe like a dusk like time of day.
Yeah.
So the blues will be I'll probably meter the blues at, you know, +1 or probably just +1. And then, you know, power lines will be darker. So, you know, hopefully almost pitch black.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the opposite of what the Saguaro one is.
Awesome.
So that I haven't used it yet. I just got it like last week, and it's been just ungodly hot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play. I actually did like a test exposure on like in my front yard with my cactus in the sky, and I did like one without the filter, one with the filter, and I'm like, okay, like, there's a clear difference. I'm like, all right, I think we're gonna do this.
Heck yeah.
At some point when
Yeah.
it's 100, maybe sub 100 at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can get into the 90s, that'd be amazing.
That'd be great.
It'd be so good. It's weird that we live in a place where like, oh man, the 90s is so refreshing and
Yeah,
nice.
what world we live in now?
Yeah.
Yeah, when that's like the cool number.
The 90s.
That says something.
Paradise.
We're living in the future, guys. We're like,
Yeah.
it's just as exciting as I thought it
No.
would be.
Soon, hopefully.
Yep. Well, awesome. Yeah, I don't know what else there is. What do you have any particular plans in the future? I guess we kind of went over some of that, but any bigger projects that you want to do?
As far as projects, not really anything specific. I kind of still do want to work on the macro cactus skeletons a lot more, and kind of play around with the more the light painting stuff. And still explore that desert, the Sonoran Desert National Monument, when it gets cooler out. I kind of go to the same spots, over and over. Like I go to the White Tanks a lot because it's like a half an hour from my house, and down in the, it's not that far. It's like, it's like an hour. It's like kind of by Gila Bend, but you kind of go east from there, and it's just a huge area. I can spend forever just finding new spots to camp and just take photos of. I don't know. That's I'm constantly. I do a lot of scouting on Google Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
that
kinda
comes
Some
in
people
clutch.
do that. Yeah,
That
we have
comes
some
in-
friends that do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like, and you can kind of pre-figure out what, instead of just going out and be like, okay, I got to figure this out, and the sun's going down.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
little
I
more
have
direction.
my Google Maps app is like littered with like, it looks like I bury bodies in different places. It's crazy. It's like
all
all
the
these
like
markers, like
middle of the nowhere desert locations.
sunset here, look west, sunset, whatever, just crazy stuff.
You're gonna go out there one day, and the FBI will be out there digging. Like,
What are you doing?
wait, no, it's over that way. You
Yeah.
guys, where are you guys at?
Yeah, just keep doing more of that. And I kind of had like a loose goal this year to have like one photo a month that's quote unquote portfolio worthy, which I don't have a portfolio per se, but
Right.
so far pretty good. Nothing this month.
Yeah.
It's just been
It's a hard month.
dead month.
It's a very hard month.
And then, pretty much almost every month up until this one, I've had a pretty good image. Pretty good makes it in my portfolio.
Awesome.
Pretty good. But, I probably won't make it to 12.
Yeah.
But, if I make it to 9 or 10 or whatever, that's a pretty good year. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good crop of images, and maybe one day I'll start a website.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, have any interest in selling your
I do.
prints?
I've had a couple inquiries. Actually, one right before we went to Idaho, and someone messaged me on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, I want to buy one. I want the Saguaro Moon one. I think." It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is or what sizes I have, but yes, let me get back to you in a
The
week.
answer is always yes.
So
Figure it out later.
if you're listening, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it right now. I have that print framed in my house. It's
Awesome.
what size is it? I don't remember what size it was, but it's decent size.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have all these prints in my house, not even on the wall, like just kind of sitting.
Yeah.
Like, this is a print. I can recreate this print, maybe sell it.
Yeah.
It's sitting over here, not on a wall.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
it's seeing it in tangible form. That's really satisfying.
True.
So that's what, this summer's all about, getting prints made. Maybe eventually making my own.
Heck yeah.
If I end up buying an inkjet, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. Or I do have I have pretty good amount of space. I have a, band studio that
Yeah.
don't really use that much anymore. Maybe I'll convert to a dark room, put some plumbing in
Yes.
There you go. Come to the
there. I
dark
think we
side.
got come to the dark side. That is the dark
Yes.
side.
Come to the dark
Come to
side.
the dark side.
So that could be a thing.
Yes.
Could be a thing. But, down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different, that's jumping into
a
a
can of
whole
worms.
different thing.
Yeah.
No joke. It is. Yeah, people come in and they'll take a workshop, and then the next thing you know, they've left us and started their own dark rooms. I'm talking to you, Dave, and Dave. There's 2 Daves.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to one of your workshops and learn
Yeah.
how to do this stuff.
Yeah. Learn how to print. It's not as hard as it seems. And
It's kind of like magic.
it's super rewarding.
It's really rewarding to watch because you just get to watch your image just coming up in the tray.
It's the
Yeah,
best. I
especially
have a
with-
feeling I'll get addicted.
It's
Crazy
easy.
addicted.
Very,
to it.
very easy to do. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, I mean, you have a portfolio and you have a group of images, and you can pick one of them and just work it, until
Get it
you get it
perfect,
dialed in.
yeah.
And then you go, okay, I know what I need to do when I go out to shoot, because I want to get that print that certain way. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's more of a intuitive, I guess, sort of thing that starts to happen when you go and work in a dark room and you start, trying to get this print to come out a certain way, and you find that it's not, and you realize, okay, it's because I didn't expose it properly to get the print. And so then you go out and you shoot the next time, and you compare your results again, you make a print, and you're like, I actually like it the other way, but
Yeah.
I need to go further the other direction. You work it again, and you're just like, okay, now I know what to do. And then you
Yeah.
start exposing with that in mind rather than more so scanning.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like we've said before, it's a rabbit hole. You just keep
Oh, man.
going down.
I'm all about rabbit
It
holes.
absolutely is a rabbit hole. Yeah.
I just obsess over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't talk about saguaros and not mention crested saguaros.
Yeah.
Oh.
You've seen any out in the wild?
I haven't seen a whole lot, but there's one up in Cave Creek Regional Park. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of a popular one. But yeah, they're super fun. I haven't seen any where I usually go in my normal spots,
Yeah.
but I know they're out there.
Yeah. And anyone listening, that's basically a mutation of your typical saguaro, looks like a dude with his hands in the air kind of thing. And it almost looks like a fist. That's always the way I kind of look at it. It looks like
It's got
I
a
think if it's
crown
like
or
a
something.
brain,
like
I
a
think it
brain
has
or something.
brain.
Yeah, it's just like this big clump at the top. It's not like this straight thing. It's just like a clump
And
at the top. It looks so
scientists-
strange.
Scientists haven't quite figured out exactly why they
Yeah.
mutate like that, but
Get on it.
There's not too many.
Yeah.
They're very rare. It's much like saguaros are kind of rare. Finding a crested saguaro is
it's like
even
one in a
rarer.
million or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like way up there.
There's
One in a
not too
quarter
many.
million
I
or
think the
something.
only one I've ever seen is the one at the botanical gardens because they have one
Oh,
there.
that's right. Yeah.
I've never seen one in just in the wild.
I've seen like 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's one over at Salt River just outside of this parking lot. That's just boom right there.
Oh, yeah.
Not that far from the parking lot. And then there's one that was on this trail that I was going through in Superior, one of the back roads. Just insane. Just boom, sitting right there,
Oh yeah.
the side of the
Superior's a
trail.
cool town.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a trail back behind there, like an off-roading trail, and it was just awesome. I'm like, holy crap!
Nice.
That's a crest. It's like one of those things. It's kind of like finding a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah.
It's just like, where did this guy come from? But yeah,
It's really cool. Early June, maybe late May, when they bloom.
yeah.
Oh man, that's the best.
the
yes,
blooms on those
Big
are
white flowers.
So pretty.
Oh, it's so cool.
There was a saguaro over by Superstitions, and it was in the parking lot of what's that gold mine?
Goldfield?
Goldfield. And somebody else took a picture of it, and it was blooming. And I was like, where is this? I needed to know. I kind of knew where it was, but I didn't know exactly. And they said it was in the parking lot here. And I set up with my camera with, hoping to catch it blooming
Nice.
this one night, and was there until 3 a.m. and didn't get anything. I'm just sitting
Dude,
there
it's so unpredictable.
yeah.
You just have to go. This past June, I went out almost every weekend. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, this, like these guys are blooming, these guys are not.
Yeah.
And then, you know, next weekend, I'm kind of a weekend warrior, you know, I kind of,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I feel
limited
that.
time, but yeah, it's exciting to see that. It's
Yeah.
like one of the coolest times right before the intense heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hang it up for a minute.
Yeah. Take a break.
Take a break.
So I was going down the Saguaro hole. I opened up the internet and I took a look. So I got some Saguaro facts.
Ooh, Saguaro
Are we
facts.
excited
All
about
right.
this?
We didn't have any questions.
So we'll
unfortunately.
do instead of questions from listeners, we're going to do Saguaro facts.
All right. I'm into it.
This is what we're going to do. So saguaros can get up to 60 feet tall, which is like, I mean, you sort of see them when you drive by or you're in the thing, but you don't really get a sense of like, that's
Yeah.
pretty tall. So
It's
you
at
guys
least
want,
a foot taller than me.
do you guys want to guess on how
At least.
how much they can possibly weigh when fully hydrated? When taking a guesses?
I would say probably 1,600 pounds.
1,601, Bob.
You're both low.
Oh man,
Really?
They can weigh up to 4,800 pounds.
that is a lot.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is definitely a lot.
That's
That's
hydrated.
it's a lot of water to move from the ground all the way up.
Man, they're just hoarding all the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
that's ridiculously heavy. God, I would not want one of those. You know, that actually explained it because if you ever see like there's on occasion one of them falls on someone's like car or something, like
Oh, yeah.
falls out
Yeah.
and it ruins the car. That explains it with the weight. But also here, and this explains that, most of their roots are only 4 to 6 inches deep.
Wow.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
No
Yeah.
way. Wow.
Oh, this is from the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. This is their saguaro. fact.
Do they give an age on saguaros?
They
When they grow arms, like 75 years per arm or something like that.
I think.
Or they.
I don't know if that's true. I'm kind of curious. Is that true?
Is that a myth?
let's see.
I think that
let's
was
see.
a myth.
Bust this myth.
Let's see, saguaro facts. All right, they're large tree-like cacti that develop branches for arms as they age, although some never grow arms. These arms are generally upward and can number up to 25. I've seen some of those. They're
Oh,
like
yeah.
the crazy branches.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So, but they don't give the timeline on that. They don't say here. On that.
Interesting.
They just say the lifespan can be 150 to 200 years old. So, in
Yeah.
a slow-growing cactus,
So
a
for-
10-year-old plant may only be 1.5 inches tall.
Yep.
Wow.
Super tiny.
It can grow between 40 to 60 feet tall when the rain is plentiful and the saguaro is fully hydrated. It can weigh between 3,200 and 4,800 pounds.
That's
Big boy.
So
Yeah.
that's your saguaro facts.
Saguaro facts.
Saguaro facts.
New
Saguaro
segment.
facts.
Yeah. Just add that to every.
I know if you're like
every
dying in
podcast
the
from now.
desert, if you can manage to get into one, you can survive with the water
Yeah.
inside. I know that saguaro fact.
I don't know if that's true though.
It's got to be true.
I understood that if you like barrel cactuses, like you can crack one open, but if you try and drink that, you'll end up dying because it like dehydrates you.
Like salt water?
Yeah.
Well, that's a massive
I
bait
tell you
and
what,
switch.
though, if I
Yeah, I
was,
know. It's like, yes. But the fruit, however, is a different
The fruit,
story.
yeah.
Well, I don't know.
well, that's that barrel cactus, though. Maybe saguaro's different.
Yeah.
But if I was in the desert and I was dehydrating and I was definitely going to die of dehydration, I'd crack one open just to see. I'd be
Just
getting
try.
a stick and jamming it in. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to die anyway.
You're gonna die anyway.
Try and find some
Sad.
peyote.
Sad Sarah.
on a
saguaro
trip.
facts. Yeah, I'd be eating all the random plants just to like trip out on the
Yeah.
way out.
Am I gonna die eating this?
There's a lot of things that'll kill you in the desert.
Yeah.
We've established that for sure.
Yeah, watch out.
It's beautiful, but yet dangerous at the same time. So probably a lot of the beauty comes into the fact that it's so incredibly dangerous. Not
Yeah.
everybody's willing to go out. Not everybody's willing to go out. Like you
why I
go
like
camping
going
and
out.
stuff. Yeah, a lot of people
I don't
aren't
see a lot of
willing-
people out there.
Yeah.
No, a lot of people won't go out there because it can be a little scary.
They're
People-
busy climbing camelback in
Yeah.
They're
like
in
120 degree heat.
Yeah,
There's a few campers, you
Yeah,
know, I
don't
see,
do
and
that.
then what's really kind of like nice to know is like I don't see a lot of trash out there.
which is good.
That's
I'm
good.
Like, that's kind of comforting.
Arizona's a pretty clean state. Now, this granted, I moved here from the New York City area, which everything was just garbage wall to wall. But when I moved here the first week, I was like, it's so clean here. Even in like within Phoenix, honestly, comparatively to other cities that I've been in and lived
I don't
in.
even want to see where you're from then.
No, like
clean.
comparatively, Phoenix is like, and I know Phoenix people live in Phoenix probably having a hard time believing that, but anyone that's lived anywhere not Phoenix, you know, if you've ever lived outside of Philadelphia or you've ever lived like, you know, the outer boroughs of New York City, you will know for a fact that Phoenix is an incredibly clean city.
Wow. All
It's
right.
incredibly clean
Go us.
comparatively to a lot of cities that I've been in.
Yeah.
So there's other ones that are obviously, there's a few out there that are cleaner, but
Yeah.
Phoenix, go Phoenix. Granted, you still got to like those Polar Pop cups, man. You guys got to get that under control
Keep
here.
that, yeah.
I don't know what's
Gee
happening
whiz.
with the Polar Pop cups, but there's like, they're everywhere.
There's plenty of those.
That's the only way we survive out here. It's Polar
It's
Pops.
true. The Polar Pops are keeping everyone going. So that might be it.
Just get a refillable thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, why do you gotta buy a Polar Pop every day?
Seriously. Actually, we saw that. We got gas this morning and I saw every person coming out had a Polar Pop.
Yeah.
That's
Every one
wild.
of them.
It's
Yeah.
the only way to survive in the desert.
It's incredibly popular.
What's in that Polar Pop? Probably
Yep.
soda.
I know, and it's probably
Yeah,
not even all that
Crazy.
hydrating. Yeah, it's probably like the hydration level is probably not that
dude,
great with whatever's
Sugar
in
and
there.
caffeine and some ice cubes.
Oh my god.
Get an
Yeah,
icy.
some.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And it just
We
turns
discovered
into-
that life hack recently. Well, didn't discover, but if you go to 7-Eleven, their beer cooler, it's like the best temperature
It's a
ever.
little oasis in the
Yeah,
desert.
they're like these really nice walk-in.
And they don't charge you anything.
They don't charge you a single thing. There's
They
no
don't
entry
charge you
fee.
rent per
No.
minute or something.
Nothing. You can just walk in there
You
and
could make
hang out.
bank if you charged for that.
I'm gonna put a doorman.
I'd pay.
I'm gonna go down there. Like there's
do it.
one here at 7th Ave in McDowell. That's the one we went into. I'm just gonna go hang out there and be the doorman. Be like, come on in, man. A buck. It's a buck. You can come in. Just hang out with the beer. You can fit like a good 25 people in there if you really wanted to.
But like, I'll help you sell alcohol. Just let me chill in here
Yeah.
over the summer.
Yeah, we went there. We were like, man, this is pretty low rent, but at the same time, very refreshing.
Yeah.
It sounds nice. We'll have
It
to
was nice. It
look
was
into
really, it
that.
was cooling.
Yeah.
That'll be my lunch break from now on.
Yep.
These are how to survive in Phoenix tips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low rent edition.
Right.
Well, awesome.
Man.
I don't know. Anything else?
I got nothing. I tapped my Saguaro fact, so I'm out.
That was impressive.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for being on.
Yes,
Really
thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having me,
much.
man. It's been
Yeah.
real fun.
I
This is
know.
Ryan's first podcast.
Yeah.
He did good.
I hope I didn't bomb.
No,
Yep.
no, did good, did good.
All right.
Passed on this one.
First.
This is my first podcast too.
You
The
did
very
really
first
good.
one.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Awesome. Well, if you get a chance, check out his stuff. He's on the Instagrams.
Yeah, what was your Instagram again?
Celestron_Swanson.
Okay.
Awesome. And we will include that in the notes on our podcast today. Do you have a website? Probably not.
No, not yet.
He's gonna get one.
I'm gonna
Eventually.
get one. I'm gonna do one soon.
You can just sell millions of prints.
Yeah, this will be my, my platform to fame right here.
There you go.
This will
There you
be
go.
the starting.
Blow up overnight. You ever need a Saguaro photo?
Yeah, I'm
He's
your
the
man.
guy. He's the guy.
Exactly. If anyone says, "Hey, do you know anyone to Saguaro photos?" I do.
I do.
absolutely do.
Yeah.
I will say though, that's something that sells. For like landscapes.
That's
and-
true. If you're looking to sell, like people love Saguaro. I mean,
Well, people like.
How could you not? Saguaros
Yeah.
are like the kind. They look like they're huge, but they look so kind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
People like kind of where they're from,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
you're trying to sell stuff, I guess, like, I could go to Iceland and take the same pictures everyone else takes.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
means nothing to nobody.
Right.
But I'm taking stuff. This picture is a half hour from my house.
Okay.
And it's a half hour from a lot of people's houses. And people, I don't know, like maybe it's comfortable. Maybe it's familiar. And I don't know. And it's not really like in your face, crazy
Yeah.
landscape. It's just kind of a nice little scene.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
So-
you know that Saguaro. His name is Paul.
That's,
It's a Paul.
that's my dad's name.
Yeah.
Aw.
Hey.
There you go.
All right.
It's Paul.
That's
Paul
his name
the-
now.
Paul the Saguaro.
Paul Saguaro.
With a P.
With a P. How would it be spelled otherwise?
Saguaro.
A silent P.
Yeah. Silent P. I don't know why, but yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. It's been real fun.
awesome.
All right.